Cullen Avon. I couldn't sleep, not really. Sharael and I shared what scraps of truth we dared, but the night made both of us restless. She spoke of her father. I spoke of the women in my line. And still the silence pressed in. Even sleep didn't ease it. When my watch came, I turned to the forms, old habits to keep the edge sharp even in the dark. Sharael watched the heavens, chasing patterns, I suppose, though something in them unsettled her. I felt her eyes on me, but neither of us said what weighed most on our hearts. The night tested us with small fears, the crack of a twig, the gleam of a buck's eyes, the long reach of shadows. But the truer test was the quiet itself. By dawn, I suspect we both carried more questions than we'd laid to rest.
Hi, I'm Mike Carmel, and this is the Dark Razor Chronicles, Season 2, Episode 8, Distant Thunder. Last time, Cullen Avon and Sharael Maldine shared a restless night by the fire. In the spaces between words, truths slipped out, and in the silence, deeper wounds revealed themselves. For Sharael, the voice of her god, Corbin the god of war, has grown cold. For Cullen, the weight of heritage lingers heavier than steel. But the night doesn't end with silence. In the hours before dawn, each choice, each watch, and each memory threads itself into the tapestry of what's coming. Now, let's return to the edge of the blade.
Cullen Avon. Elion's star glows bright above, a constant companion in the dark. Kestra is nearing its end, the night nearly past, and not a single disturbance beyond a curious deer. The woods are quiet. My body aches for something more, for action beyond the soft discipline of forms. I'm tired of these canopy drills, slow, precise, lacking any force. My muscles yearn for the clash of steel on steel, for the thrill of impact. I should be focused, but my mind churns, turning over the same thoughts again and again. She was right. Everything I do is for show. Every stance, every form, perfected for the crowd's eyes. It stings hearing it spoken aloud. All my experience, every swing of the blade has been for spectacle, not survival. I've never faced mortal combat, never fought with my life truly on the line. A hollow guilt lingers at the edges of my mind, creeping inward like a slow rot. The idea of killing someone, even in self-defense, churns my stomach. A shiver runs up my spine, not from cold, but from memory. Darren's voice echoes in my mind, light and teasing, but cruel in its truth. Why all the training? You know I could kill you at 30 meters with my crossbow, right? He had meant it as a joke, but it stuck with me, lodged deep in my bones. And now, standing here in the real darkness, I realize how right he was. One arrow, one thrown blade, one misstep, and it's over. All my years of training, all the forms, the competitions, the spectacle, none of it would matter. In competition, death isn't a threat. The stakes are low, and the audience is forgiving. That's where I honed my craft, swordplay, tumbling, acrobatics. It started simple, steel clashing against steel in intricate displays, but soon we made it a show, a dance. My family, the Avons, became renowned not just for our skill, but for our performances. People would flock to see us. The tree of life forms offered the perfect stage, branches, twigs, leaves, movements meant to flow together in harmony. It could accommodate 5 combatants, but we always performed best as 3, Mom, Da, and I, moving as one, in perfect sync. No one else could keep up. We would trade roles, taking turns leading the season cycles of defense, each movement flowing like the changing seasons. The attackers followed the weather cycles, their strikes seeming wild and unpredictable like a storm's fury. To the untrained eye, it looked like chaos, blades flashing, bodies tumbling, but there was beauty in the patterns, even without knowing where to look. The night performances were the real crowd pleasers. Dull blades designed to spark on impact, steel clashing and sending flares of light into the darkness. We fought with all our strength, the weapons striking in bursts of brilliance, illuminating us in flashes like lightning in a storm. The crowd would roar, mesmerized. I ache for that kind of release, the dance, the beauty, but I fear the real thing is coming too soon, and it won't be for show. I stop, glancing up at Luna as she sinks toward the trees, a thin waxing crescent tonight, delicate and fragile. Her faint light does little to pierce the shadows, but she is proof, tangible and real, that time is passing. She was full only the night before, round and bright in the heavens, and now, just a sliver. When I first spotted the moon tonight, something felt wrong. Her appearance was strange, unfamiliar. It wasn't just that she was waxing, though that alone was enough to catch my eye. No, it was the pattern on her surface. Mensa's web, a network of golden lines that usually shimmer faintly, was bolder, thicker. The intricate web denser in places, the lines twisted. Even Mensa the spider, who normally required a bit of imagination to discern, now looked warped, his legs uneven, his form distorted beyond recognition. He hardly resembled a spider anymore. I squinted up at the moon, my chest tightening with unease. Nearby, Nasa the fly hovers close, his light a sharp pinprick against the darkness, a mere finger's width from Mensa's warped reach. Nasa sits among his nest of stars, his glow bright and unchanging, a comforting sight in this unfamiliar sky. His brilliance tonight feels deliberate, hopeful even, waiting for Luna to become full again, longing to seduce her with his glow as she in turn seduces him with her brilliance. At least Nasa remains the same, untouched by whatever has twisted Mensa. But Luna, I wonder how she will look when she's full. Will her face reveal more changes? Do these shifts in the constellations prove Sharael's claim that we are in the past? Are the heavens themselves bearing witness to the truth of her words? I try to push the doubts aside. Speculation is a weight on my soul, a burden I don't need. I have sworn an oath to Sharael, and until she is proven false, I will trust her word. It is a simple thing, follow where she leads. My path is laid out before me. Eliane's star sinks into angst, the night waning toward dawn. At least she remains unchanged, a constant in this shifting world. She still rises in the north each dusk, makes her graceful arc across the heavens, and descends by dawn, her path unwavering. I glance over at Sharael. She sleeps peacefully, her face soft in the firelight, the tension gone from her features. I stoke the flames, adding more wood, and pull my cloak tighter around me. One last look around. The shadows are still, the forest quiet. I mowed another hour and a half of rest. My body aches for it. I lie down on my bedroll, the ground hard beneath me, and close my eyes, sleep pulling me under. The faintest ribbon of orange skirts the starry sky, dawn creeping over the horizon. Early morning birds chirp, soft at first, then stronger, their songs cutting through the stillness of the night. The sky is cloudless, peaceful. Thunder. A low rumble rolls against the mountains, reverberating through the valleys. I sit up, alert, my heart racing. Another clap echoes, distant but growing closer. And then another, louder. The sound builds, a strange, continuous barrage, unlike any storm I've heard. The birds fall silent, their songs swallowed by the noise. I count 10, 20, 30, too many. The booms overlap, a cacophony of thunder that makes the very ground beneath me tremble. Sharael doesn't stir, but her eyes are open, wide and fixed on the sky. The barrage begins to fade, the thunder rolling away into the distance. Then, 3 final claps, louder than the rest, crash against the mountains.
Krista Smithy, Part 2, Outskirts. Fog laid low over the ridge, thick enough to scrape with a spoon, 'cause that's what fog does in these parts. My boots came up wet from the grass, and the damp was crawling up my legs a little too friendly-like. Dan were ahead a half pace, hands in his coat, counting steps under his breath. He does that when he's waiting on something, or dreading it. We's both on edge after spying the count. The 4 slashes marked on the porch post. We was keeping off the main path, following the back way skirting Parton. The ridge path runs up to a plateau and continues toward town, but we's kept to the shadow side. Got's my bum fluff all a prickle like we was being watched. Quit counting so loud, look we'll hear ya. The mister of the house really had luck in my mind. I remembered my mum talking about her. Said luck's a mistress, someone you honoured, and got's the good in return. I said it for Dan's ears. He smirked, barely.
Luck don't got's ears.
Yeah? Then what were them marks showing up our first night? He don't answer. We couldn't see on top of the ridge, but from there, it sounded like a scuff on grit. Not heavy, not close, but enough to gives me the knowing that someone was up there. We froze. My hand went to my knife. A figure shaped up through the fog. A man in plain coat, wide brim hat tilted low. He stopped where the path bent down toward the cabin, didn't wave, didn't call, just stood like he were counting us. Dan edged closer to me. We waited. He waited. Then he turned and walked toward Parton, his boots making that same scuff sound with every step. When the fog swallowed him, I realised I'd been holding my breath. That were all 6 days back. It's a free morning, given to us by the mister. We still ain't calling 'em by name. So we's moving toward the lower edge of town, where the houses thin and the fences are just old stone lines with more moss than wall. I ain't looking to go into Parton proper today. Too many eyes, too many ears. But there's a place near the old goat pens where you can hear the town without being seen. We settles on the lee side of a toppled wall. Dan pulls his coat tight. I keeps my back to the stone. The wind up here brings town noise in scraps. Cartwheels on cobble. Someone hawking bread. A watch whistle far off.
What we's waiting for?
Dan asks. Same thing that's waiting for us, I says. He gives me that look that means he wants the long answer. I don't got's one yet. By midday we can see the West Ridge clearly. Empty. We ain't seen the watcher since. I almost believe we imagined him, until we head back down toward the cabin and spot a fresh pebble on the path, top of the ridge. Smooth riverstone, no business on this land, sitting dead centre like it were placed all careful like. Dan stares at it.
Wasn't here before.
Nope. We don't touch it. We backs up a dozen paces and head down a new path we made ourselves, stepping deep into yellow grass. The cabin's still where we's left it. The woman's out back by the wash table, sleeves rolled, pump squeaking in rhythm. She glances up once, reads our faces, and goes back to work without asking. Mister's on the back porch, oiling a stave. His eyes track us, but he don't speak neither. We goes inside, got's enough trust they don't stop us. Drops into chairs around the table and lean back to chat what's left of the day away. That night after the lamps are out and the field's gone all quiet like, I lie awake listening for grit scuffs on the ridge. Nothing comes but the creek talking to itself. Still, I keeps my hand near steel till the dark starts to pale.
Cullen Evan. The barrage begins to fade, the thunder rolling away into the distance. Then 3 final claps, louder than the rest, crash against the mountains, the last one ringing out like an exclamation mark. Only then does Sharael sit up, her movement slow and stiff.
What was that?
She asks, her voice thick with sleep. Not thunder. She nods, her eyes scanning the horizon.
No, certainly not thunder.
We sit in silence, listening, waiting, but nothing more comes. Slowly the birds begin to sing again, tentative at first, as if testing the stillness, then stronger, their morning songs reclaiming the forest. Sharael stands and stretches, her body arching like a cat, before flipping her bedroll to dry the damp underside. I follow suit, brushing off the moisture clinging to the fabric.
Do you want some tea?
Her voice lighter now. I groan, remembering the bitter taste from yesterday. If it's that same quaily tea, I trail off, grimacing. But despite the memory, I shrug. Sure, why not? She smiles, a rare, genuine thing, and starts rummaging through her pack for the kettle.
Do we have water?
She asks, holding up the dented metal pot. Some, but we used most of it yesterday. My skin was full, but yours was empty. I point west, toward the sound of a waterfall I'd noted earlier. There's water that way. Should be easy to find. I hand her my water skin, draining what little remains into the kettle before corking it. I extend it to her, waiting. She hesitates, brow furrowed, as if confused by my gesture, before taking it without a word. Grabbing her own skin, she heads off into the woods, her form disappearing between the trees. I squat by the fire, stoking it with what little wood we have left. The flames lick higher, warming my hands. I nestle a kettle into the coals, watching as the metal heats. From the woods I hear the crack of branches, the rustle of leaves. Is she cursing? A faint word carries through. Drit. I grin. I sprinkle a handful of quaily leaves into the pot, trying to recall her instructions. Was it more tea in a longer steep, or less tea in a shorter one? I can't remember. 30 counts, I think. Or was it 40? I sigh, watching the leaves as the water starts to boil, the earthy scent of quaily filling the air. Whatever. Hot tea is hot tea. I shake my head, exhaling sharply as the swarm of questions circles in my mind, each thought chasing the next like restless kittens. It's maddening. She doesn't make it easy, her words always cryptic, layered with meaning, leaving more unsaid than spoken. Every answer spawns more questions, a tangle I can't unravel. The shock of yesterday has dulled, though the doubts still linger, gnawing at the edges of my thoughts. I pledge to trust her, to follow until proven otherwise. But it feels like walking blindfolded along a cliff's edge. One wrong step and I'll fall. It takes a leap of faith, more than I thought I had in me. My mind struggles against it, trying to anchor itself in what's real, in what I know to be true. But the cracks are there, growing. Can I really be 200 years in the past? The thought feels too heavy, too vast to comprehend. I keep circling back to it, like a sore tooth I can't stop prodding. It's impossible, isn't it? Yet Luna has changed. I rub the back of my neck, the weight of it all pressing down on me. The more I think about it, the more the doubt creeps in, coiling tighter, a knot in my chest. What if she's telling the truth? Or worse, what if she isn't? I pull 2 cups from my pack, one a near-new brown enamel, the other an old, battered tin cup, beaten and worn with use. I grew up with this cup. It's one of the few keepsakes I have from home. Mom had retired it to outdoor use years ago, but when I was a child it was mine at the table. I remember grabbing it after waking Sharael from the magic, running to the house and scooping water from the outdoor wash table. I knew she'd need more, so I took the whole bucket. That's when I noticed the light. Dusk, soft and fading. It had been near midnight when I first entered the mausoleum. Yet barely an hour had passed. No 20 hours. Less than 1. Does that lend more weight to her story? Did time flow differently around me while I was inside her sphere of influence? Was I with her for hours while the world above counted days? My stomach churns at the thought, twisting with unease. The clues my parents will find. The missing amulet, the displaced bucket and cup, the mausoleum door ajar, the capstone thrown aside and broken. I can already picture Da's face when he discovers it, staring over the edge of the sarcophagus and seeing the stairs, the hidden laboratory below. What will he find? The contingency still on the table, untouched. The desk, the papers, the burning lanterns. And Lork Avon, slumped where we left him, rotting. Will it be enough to piece together the truth? The snap of branches draws my attention. Sharael returns, 2 full water skins slung over her shoulders. She's soaked, drenched from head to toe, her yellow hair hanging in damp strands around her face. But her wide smile nearly makes me laugh aloud. She hands me one of the water skins without a word. I take it, securing it to my pack with a nod. No need to ask what happened. It's clear enough. The tea has steeped too long, probably far too long. I reach out and touch the small looped handle on the kettle, testing the heat. It's hot, but manageable. I fill the 2 cups quickly before the handle burns me, then set the kettle aside.
Did you remember more tea and less steep?
Sharael asks through a shiver. Well, I say, smirking. You seemed uncertain yesterday, and to be honest, I wasn't really listening. I pass her the enameled cup. Her hands tremble as she takes it. We'll just have to judge it now. I blow across the surface of my cup, the steam swirling into the morning air. But something pricks at my ears, faint at first. A distant sound, easy to dismiss. Then it grows louder, heavier, the rhythm too deliberate. Footfalls, not deer, not small animals, heavy. I hesitate, scanning the woods, until 2 dark shapes move between the trees, still distant, but approaching. My pulse jumps, my fingers tightening around the cup. Get your sword, I hiss, not wanting to alert whoever approaches that we've seen them. Sharael blinks at me, confused. She hasn't heard them yet. I say it again, urgently this time. Get your sword, 2 approach. My cup drops, spilling hot tea into the fire with a hiss. The razor is in my hand a heartbeat later, with a thrum as it slides from the scabbard, sending a vibration through my arm, sharp and alive. It grounds me, focuses me. They're huge. Larger than any men I've ever seen. I try to process, to analyze, look for signs of aggression, but their sheer size staggers me. They burst from the tree line, and that's where I get a full look. Oh shit. I can't help but let the profanity escape.
And that's where we leave it for tonight. Cullen and Sharael's uneasy vigil has ended not in silence, but in thunder and in the sudden arrival of something far larger and far more dangerous than either expected. If you've been enjoying the Dark Razor Chronicles, you can help keep the stream alive by leaving a review on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you listen. Share the show with a friend, and visit mikecarmel.ca. That's MikeCarmel.ca to find the novels, art, and more. Every review helps keep the blade sharp. Patreon is now live with early honored status for those who dive headlong into the streams, and soon exclusive content for those who wade even deeper. Until next time, remember, just because a god doesn't answer your whisper doesn't mean he isn't listening.